Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar and course here. Love to tell you how to sell to visitors that does not talk to you. And this is a very important subject. So basically you have a website today, you're doing an amazing job and you should be proud of yourself. But the problem is, and this fan illustrated so well, you're bleeding revenue. You're basically having the dollar bill hang in front of you, people coming to your website, but you're blowing it away because only 2% are converting. And that's a major issue. Unfortunately, this happens to most B2B companies. And my goal today is to inspire you, empower you to get a methodology where you can identify the 98% that does not convert, help you convert more, and build a new sales motion where you go to market and increase your revenue. So, as you might be aware, as I mentioned, only 2% in general across all the B2B websites are converting. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, you will have companies, they are in the identified problem stage. So basically, they're figuring out they have a pain. And hopefully you have the painkiller for it, because if you're just a vitamin, that's a metaphor I love. Well, the vitamin is not solving the pain, you're just preventing it. So solving the pain is exactly what your potential client wants to do. Once they have identified it, they start the solution exploration. And that's where they visit your website. But maybe your call to action, maybe your explanation, your design, whatever doesn't resonate with them. Maybe you're more SMB focused on your design or enterprise focused. And this personality, that might even be a decision maker or an influencer, there could be an assistant that visits the website, are not clearly getting what you do, but you have the perfect solution for them. So they might leave to your competitor, and your competitor might end up with that deal. We do not want that to happen. That's why it's important to actually identify them and show if they have high intent. Now, in the last stages, when they do win the decisions, that's typically when they're locked in 2-3 companies. And that's typically almost too late, but still possible to close them. So in the solution exploration, they go search Google, click on AdWords, go on review sites and everything to really find out. And they will typically visit you if you're positioned well. And there's no guarantee they're going to buy from you. That's why you have 2% conversion. So what you want to think about is you want to know your deal custom profile. So you're going to start looking into tracking who is on your website. And I'll show you that later during this session here, how to do that. But you want to figure out who is low intent, not your ideal customer profile. Who has low intent, meaning they just visit the front page, maybe a blog post, but nothing else, and fit your ICP. While who is high intent, not ideally ICP, but they're really researching you. And of course, who is the high intent, been on the pricing page, been on the product pages, and they are within your ICP. And you want to focus on the high intent ICP, high intent not ICP in the end if you have a lot of visitors. If you do not have a lot of visitors, it might make sense in the start to focus on all of them, but it depends on your scenario. You're going to focus on what are the low-hanging fruits that you can close faster. So let's get to it. So today we're going to talk about what is good marketing, what is an amazing website, how can you improve it, what is website personalization, why are the biggest companies in the world doing it, how can you track the real person and company on your website in real time? How do you turn those visitors into revenue and prospect them and do your outbound campaign? We're going to talk about email templates. We can also talk about how you can append data to Google Analytics so you can optimize your Google AdWords campaign. So basically you'll be able inside Google Analytics to see on this campaign which of the companies or percentage that clicked actually using Salesforce, if that's your ICP. That's super powerful to know because then you start optimizing them. And then we're going to talk about something that is coming to Exact Visitor, which includes ABM marketing. So you can actually place AdWords in the display network to all Salesforce customers or anybody that you're targeting, which is super neat if you are a marketer, because now you control who clicks and you get in front of the right buyers. So what is good marketing? HubSpot, they just did their new website. They redid it. You might, if you've seen in the past, you see this different. If you look at the arrows, they have a couple of places where you contact sales. You can start for free, you get a new demo. You start for free and get a new demo and talk to the chat. There are multiple CTAs, which leads to a form. And that's the point. When you do that, you're at that 2% conversion. But unfortunately, many people are still researching, forget about you, and they move on. Those are the ones we want to capture for you today. Shopify, they don't even have a chat. They will only have it if it's a big company coming, because they actually do personalization, so they control that. That's another example. But again, they focus really on the forms, get them to the trial. Not talking to a sales team, because these are typically mom and pop stores to sign up. But again, that will change with website personalization when you have companies that are within the ICP. So here for Shopify, the alternatives is companies that take WooCommerce, BigCommerce, or Magento, some open source or less paid platforms where they have to host and have other costs and hire companies or agencies to handle it for them. But typically that's the difference. So Shopify actually capture the smaller sites that comes to them and automatically email them the differences of what they can deliver. They will keep them on top of the funnel. Now, if you look at Hopin, have been growing crazy. Another example, similar to HubSpot. You request demo, you can sign up for free. They even have another form in the top, download our free templates or request a demo. And again, the chat. Again, they're following the same standardization that we see SaaS companies having today, which is very normal. Now, what you want to do is, once a person come in here, if they don't sign right away up for an account or request a demo, you want to check out and monitor who have high intent. That means if somebody click on the pricing, product, and then pricing, solutions, and if they click on solutions, you know if you have marketing or sales as a solution, you know kind of what type of personality you're looking for in that company based on the intent. And of course you want to look at who is on the pricing page, because they're more likely to buy, because now they're checking out the pricing, so they move forward. So that shows high intent. Okay, so let's get to the next step. So these companies are all doing personalization for a reason. So the website, based on if you're a small company or large company, are changing. So for example, if it's an enterprise, sign up for free would be removed. If it's request demo here, if it's a very small company, will be sign up for free. So the whole funnel can change, and you might think, okay, that's expensive, that's complicated, and it has been until today. Because typically with website personalization platforms, you have to go out and buy a Clearbit Reveal account at $40,000 to $100,000 a year. Then you have to sign a contract of a platform that at least going to cost you $12,000 to $100,000 depending on the number of visitors. And then you need to implement it. It's not out of the box. So what I'm going to show you is, first of all, after we just go over the slide, why website personalization is so important. So if you think about it, McKinsey did a research, and they claim, based on their scientific evidence, and McKinsey are quite often right, being the #1 consultancy in the world, that website personalization provides and generates not billion, but $1 trillion in value across retail, travel, banking, insurance, SaaS, and so on and so forth. So if you're not giving your visitor a personalized experience, well, they're more likely to become the 98% that leave your website. So at Exact Visitor, we built it out of the box with our data network, which is the biggest data network in the market that can analyze who is on your website. And what we do is, for example, somebody come, we can swap the CTA to say, hey, this is Drift coming. So instead of saying identify the exact visitor on your website in real time, we're going to say identify the exact visitor on Drift.com real time. We can swap the logos. So for example, if financial services has logos in the bottom there, we can swap them to be SaaS companies that relates to them in the visit. That makes them more likely to buy. If you look at MailChimp, I'll take an example here where we just edited a little bit. For example, if somebody comes to MailChimp, they don't care about the 140 integrations they have. They care about the Salesforce and Pardot right there. So you can swap that. So once they're reading it, they go like, hey, they have a seamless Salesforce integration out of the box. That's exactly what I needed. So now I can sign up for free. But if it says, hey, we're working with 140 integrations, they might just leave the site, or they might click to it. They might not see it at first and give up. So that short attention span that they have visitors, you are breaking it by not personalizing. So let me show you in real time how you can personalize. So an example is, you're going to create your audience. So I create an audience here saying anybody using HubSpot, and there could be, if the user is located somewhere There could be Spain or US or UK. You can do that. And then I add in this case the technology they're using. Once I do that, I can open this and I can take in my variant of the front page of Exact Visitor. So right now, HubSpot users that are visiting exactvisitor.com, I'm making a live personalization of the website in front of you right now. I'm showing you no coding is needed and how simple it is. Everybody can do it. All it takes is just to put a JavaScript in your website. So for example, I already personalized this. So I can change my CTA, reveal the real visitor on domain in real time. I save the change. Once it's saved result, this is live. So if a HubSpot visitor comes, we're gonna change the CTA to this. Let's say instead of starting my free account, I added the employee range over 1,000 people. Well, then I say talk to sales, save it, change the UTM, the URL. I can change the logos by replacing the image. I can change everything. So for example, down here, now we're talking about a HubSpot, so that's perfect. For example, if it's a Salesforce customer, we want to replace the image so we show the Salesforce integration. And instead of seeing our integrations, we might want to change that to see how Salesforce. Now I know we talk HubSpot, but I just want to give you the see Salesforce how it works. So now I can hit save change, save result, it's live. That's how easy it is to personalize your website. So let's get back to the presentation. So I talked about website personalization, that's important. But generally speaking, how do we do that? So what you need to do is you need to put a tracking code on your website. And with that tracking code, we return data points to our master database. And that master database is gigantic. And due to our data network, it's growing every single minute of the day based on our network. So it's not stale data like the incumbents in the market has. So our IP database, when somebody visits from an IP address, if they're sitting in Heathrow Airport or San Francisco Airport or JFK in New York, whatever airport it is, to go on the public Wi-Fi because they're traveling, well, the traditional providers will say, we know this IP belongs to JFK Airport or Heathrow Airport or Starbucks or WeWork or Regius, co-working spaces. So that's the visitor. That's a false positive. The way we override that is the data network can go beyond that and say, we know in Heathrow that this is company XYZ that logged in and the person. So we overwrite that so you get the accurate data when applicable. And that's the benefit of it. And at the end of the day, as you see down there, we will then tell you, this is Janelle Smith, VP of Marketing at Dell. And by the way, this is GDPR compliant and also compliant under the California Privacy Act. So you don't have to worry about that. So that's the benefit. That's how simple it is for you. So once you start tracking and you personalize your website and you build audiences, I want you to think about, and we will go through this fast, but you can review that after, to design your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and the persona. So the persona is the first aspect. Who is the influencer that will do the research about you typically, or be involved in the deal, and who is the decision maker? You need to design those two to get a proper mapping and proper outreach. After that, you need to go in and say, okay, for the company part, what location are we looking at? What employee range? What industry? And with TechTracker.io, which we're natively integrated with, which is the biggest technology scanner in the world. We scan over 300 million websites, over 10,000 technologies, what they're using every single day. It's brilliant. So we can say they're using HubSpot, they're using Salesforce, they're using Marketo, they're using Google AdWords, anything. So that's important because the technology stack, if they're using everything open source, tell you they don't invest a lot in the company, while if they're using everything premium, well, they're more likely a fit. And if you're selling, for example, integration to HubSpot or Salesforce customers, it goes without saying those are the ones you want to talk to. You also look at revenue data. What we're doing is we actually, with SalesHub.ai, we got access to all private companies in Europe, and we're ranking that based on revenue ranges of those companies because it's public and the technology uses to give you a revenue indication. Now in the US it's not public unless you're public traded companies, and their revenue multiples are different cost levels than private held companies in average. So therefore, it's a very accurate way to take it based on the European data set and globalize it with technologies. So that's how we think about revenue. But again, companies having 1 to 10 million might be a sweet spot, 10 to 20 million might be a different sweet spot. So you have to think about what revenue range matters to you. Alexa rank is another one. Are they in top 100,000 on Alexa, meaning they have high traffic to the website, or they're not? That talks about the marketing effort, their go-to-market effort. If they are an old school consultancy where it's everything relation-based, maybe they have a small Alexa rank, but they do a high revenue. So it talks about the potential client. Also, do they have an high ad spend or low ad spend? That also talks about the profile of the company. So you've got to put those into play to think about what is your ideal customer profile. It makes it easier because once you talk to your ICP, they're more likely, if they show high intent on your website, to buy versus the one they're not. We have a small framework, and I'm going to run through it, not to bother you with that, but we look at it like how many years have it been in business, what's the annual revenue, employee range, location, technology stack, and so on and so forth. Who's the target buyer? We look at this VP of sales, director of sales, and the director or VP level. So you want to map that out. We look deeper in technology and Alexa rank because that matters to us internally. So those are some of the things that matters when you design your ICP. Okay, so who really visit your website? Once you sign up for Exact Visitor, this is actually a visit. I made this presentation on the 15th of November 2021. So this is an example of General Electric. As far as I know, they're being split into 3 companies right now over the next 3 years with the new CEO. But GE is a company with plus 100,000 employees. They came on exactvisitor.com. My problem is, love to have them as a client, big potential annual contract value. I mean, the ACV is enormous for us, but for pretty much every company. So we can see precisely what pages they've been to. We even see they attempted to log in and create a trial, which is great. So we know this information right away. We know they've been 5 times to the website. They came 3rd of May this year. So they've been coming back and forward. So they've been in the research phase, and now they're in the vendor decision. So the problem is, I know GE is visiting. If it's a smaller company, it's not a problem. But when it's a large one, we don't know who to talk to. Well, Exact Visitor solved that for you. So I'm not going to show you who the person is from GE right now, because we are in negotiations with them, working with them right now. So we're not going to give that away. But I'll give you an example. This is one of the test accounts we have here. We tell you precisely who is the person. So in the case of GE, we knew who it was. We wrote the person the email with a screenshot, and the person replied right away, we love this, and we are communicating. Had I wouldn't been able to know who visited from GE, but just the company, it would have taken us a long time to reach the right person when it's an enterprise. But if it's a small company, typically you know your ICP and persona, particularly the persona is the VP of sales or somebody around that. They know that they're having this pain and looking at the market, so they're more likely to respond. We're going to go over that in email templates. So knowing the real person will speed up your sales cycle. Make sure they don't buy from your competitor, because you get to talk to the right person. That's the power of Exact Visitor. And that's the power to you, because once you identify them, what we're going to go over next, you can skip that and just just reach out to them. Have your sales team and marketing team send a one-to-one personalized email and have that communication. Now, if you're using our platform, we have native two-way sync integration with Salesforce, Pipedrive, and HubSpot. And why is that important? Because we actually are keeping your CRM updated, so you get the signals inside your CRM. So if they exist in your CRM, then we send all the visits over. If they don't exist, you push them to your CRM, and then we maintain it for all visits, so you have a master record in your CRM. So how does it work? For example, in HubSpot, we show all the visit here as a node. So we have the whole visit history of this person, and it's fully automated. I don't do anything. That's the cool part about it. And it's also very powerful. The same, we have Slack alerts. And Slack alerts are also very powerful for your sales team. So if you're an enterprise sales rep, you have somebody who's using Salesforce, 1,000, 5,000 employees, maybe you did, and you can do ABM alerts in our platform too. But here I'm defining based on the visitor. If it's ABM, we take a list of accounts and say if any of them visit, we want an alert live in Slack like that. And you might wonder, why do I need that? The simple answer is if I'm an enterprise or mid-market sales rep, I'm hunting this deal and keep contacting. I never get in touch with the person I'm hunting. I know right now they're on our website, so if I pick up the phone and dial them, they will have time to answer. So that shortens your sales cycle. Also, if you send an email at that moment and follow up, they're more likely to answer because you're top of the mind and you just reach out coincidentally by accident, right? And they will read it and get back to you. While if you reach out when they're not on your side and they're not replying to you, they're very likely not to reply in the future too, because they get bombarded with emails. So doing real-time alerts and reach out in real time is super powerful when it comes to reaching out to larger companies. So let's say you have a list of the companies, and of course it's not all people that can be tracked, but then we have the company. What do you do? If you have SalesHub.ai, which we natively integrated with, well, as you see right here with their prospect engine sitting over 280 million email and mobile numbers of people, well, you can enable who visited my website with exact visitor there, and you can actually say what companies came the last 7 days. Click on them and hit find contacts. And what happens then? Well, you add the job titles I see here on the left, your personas. And we're going to show you precisely those people. You can select them and save them, and now you can reach out. It's that simple. You don't need to spend a lot of time on prospecting. Everything is done for you here. All you have to do is to apply the filters and then just look at them and say, this is the right people. You hit one button and then you can reach out to them. And by the way, from here, you can also hit them to an automation, and then you can reach out on LinkedIn and everything's just fully automated for you. Now, if you don't want to prospect yourself, well, Sales Hub made it event-based. So 5 minutes after a visitor that is not a customer comes to your website, it can automatically go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator, prospect the person, download the person based on job title and the number of persons you are putting in. Then you can automatically send a LinkedIn connection request. And if we can find a verified email from the email verification system from LinkedIn, well, then we put a small delay, and after 2 days after the connection request, or 30 minutes, depending on how you design it, we're going to send an email. Then we're going to have another delay, we're going to send a LinkedIn message when connected, and so on and so forth. If you couldn't find the email, well, on the left side, we will simply just follow the LinkedIn sequence. Now you might say, I don't want to automate everything. I want to have it partly automated, so when they come to our website, I can personalize my messaging. They also took care of that with Sales Hub and Exact Visitor. So they will scan the LinkedIn profile of the visitor because we have the LinkedIn URL. And then you will be able to say, hey, she's a passionate growth marketer and brand consulting, enabling businesses and startups to build effective marketing brands to advance business goals. Okay, now we know something about her. I also know the last LinkedIn post, so I can click on it, and then we can open up the LinkedIn post and say, hey, she posted about XYZ. So I can say, I want to personalize the LinkedIn request, and then instead of saying outbound sales is hard, I'm going to say, hey, love your last post about the 5 elephants, whatever it is. That was a bad example, but you get the point. And reach out and say, love that post, and I had some great takeaways from it. Hope you would like to connect. So that connection request, when Namita, she receives it, she will see that you did your research, you didn't use an automation like everyone else, and you can even click on the next email that goes out and add that as well, so land in the email inbox. Loved your last post on LinkedIn about XYZ. She'll read that right away and say, hey, this person actually took the time to learn about me. And then you can reach out. You can also click and see technology, so the last visits, you know precisely what pages they've been at while you're personalizing. So I highly recommend to test that out. Now, how do you reach out by email? So there are many ways you can do that. There are direct ways, like if you are selling Exact Visitor, I'll reach out with a screenshot saying, hey, I tracked you, this is how I did it. Don't you want to do that for your business? That's easy for us. But for you, that might be spooky. You don't want to say to the person, I know you came around, I know precisely you. You might want to go something like this. Hey John, saw a few folks from your company were checking out Exact Visitor recently, and I wanted to see how I can help. So right now you're not being intrusive. Then you say, what is your value proposition? And then you're asking for a meeting. Or you can add in, if you're not the right person, who can I speak to? That's really, really simple. Then you have a follow-up, and you don't go around, I want to resurface this to your inbox, because people are tired of that. So you want to say something like, as a few folks from your company were checking out Exact Visitor recently, I just wanted to follow up here. So you reverse that sentence, because if you start saying, hey, I'm just following up, people that just hit delete, they don't want to read more, because everybody does that. So you want to reverse engineer that. Then the last one, well, I highly recommend to do 6 to 8 touches, but you do something like, I successfully emailed you and looks like you're super busy to reply. I totally get it. But then you basically just recap your conversation and see if they respond. So this is like a guideline I'm just giving to you to think about how you can do it. And you can always look at the slides after I share the slides, and as well the video, so you get the recording. Now, you do AdWords, you do really good, you're converting a lot of leads, but the reality is you don't know the visitors inside your AdWords, and this can natively be set up. You go to learn.saleshub.ai, you'll find all the details. There's an interactive learning studio, learn.exactvisitor.com. And then you'll be able to see what companies are using Salesforce out of your campaign. That's only 0.14% of users, as an example. So you will also be able to see the employee range, the industry. So if you're targeting information technology companies with 11 to 50 employees in your AdWords campaign, and the average click is 1 to 10 employees or solo entrepreneurs, you probably want to optimize your ads. If you're targeting enterprises over 10,000 employees, you can see the average company clicking on your ads is 200 employees. Something is going wrong with the keywords. So either you're burning money on the wrong ICP, where you have to optimize, because we can then calculate if you add that into Google AdWords. We have pinned all our data in, so you can actually see what companies are clicking. That's super cool and useful with the attributes. Then you're able to optimize your campaigns. Now, if that's not enough and you have a list of targeted accounts you want to reach out to, this is what I'm going to talk about. So we're building out at the moment Exact Visitor ABM for ads. And why do we do that? We want to help you spend your AdWords correctly. We don't want you to support Google burning a lot of money that could be used somewhere else in your company or actually drive more customers to you. We want to make sure you can lower your CAC. That's why we exist. We want to identify who is there and help you sell to them, but we also want to help you optimize that. So basically, you will be able to target ads only for your target B2B accounts and be more effective when investing on advertisement. So basically what happens is you're going to provide us and upload a list into our system, and then we help you place that into Google Display Network, and then your ads will be distributed only when those accounts are visiting. So for example, if you take a large company, we might have 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 IPs on them. So when one of those IPs are visiting, well, that's when we're serving the ad. It's more reliable, so it comes down to the last point. Doing that today, third-party cookies is more or less not existing across browsers. I know Chrome is phasing out right now. We don't use cookies at all. So that helps you because we can serve the ads. We can serve them the right places now to only the right companies. So if you're targeting particular companies, that will help you. So in the end of the day, you will improve your budget and you'll be able to have a high return of investment of your ads, but also with the enrichment, have a full engagement in who is truly clicking on all your ads so you can optimize. So to recap, for you, it's time to go out and sell. You can start today with a free account on exactvisitor.com and saleshub.ai. No credit card needed, so you can test it out. If you want to learn more, once you get an email that comes after 5 minutes after sign up, you can just hit book a demo there and you'll be able to talk to one of our specialists. And again, my goal is only to help you inspire how you can track the 98% that doesn't reach out to you, how you can automate the whole prospecting. Love to show you more in depth, but this is just the framework that we're sharing today. So hope this inspires you. Hope you take this back, because right now when watching this, you're bleeding revenue because you don't take action against the people that either click on that, come to your website from all your hard marketing work, sales emails, and not talking to you. You want to reach out to them because you have a big likelihood, if they fit your ICP, to actually close them. So you're sitting off on a pile of potential revenue that is untouched. So I hope I can inspire you to do a change, to go out and capture it today. Thank you so much for watching.